Hi Copic friends, Michelle Houghton here. We are going to do just a silly, fun Copic coloring video today. This is a new image from Corbiere-Scott. So she does these digital sheets. They are 8.5 by 11 and you just literally hit print and you get several images. So you have this fun pumpkin head with, of course, the floral across the top, kind of a signature of Anne. And then this You Caught My Eye flower, little Hocus Pocus and Witch's Brew with a potion jar. So some fun. It's called Hocus Pocus Fodder. It literally comes in this 8.5 by 11. Print it out on your favorite coloring paper, whether that's a watercolor paper to do some watercolor or marker paper, Copic paper, whatever you like. So I'm not sure yet if I will speed some of this up. It's a little bit bigger because when I printed it out in the 8.5 by 11, I mean, this is going to have to go on like a 6x6 card, or it'd be great on a scrapbook page. That would probably be fun, but it's a lot to color. So, and I just discovered that I did not plug my iPad in, which is what I'm recording on. Yay. And so, yeah, I might be kind of piecemealing this together a little bit, but I thought I'd get a little recording done. I knew you would all appreciate that. So I'm trying to decide which colors to go with, and I'm trying to decide if I want to do something a little more kind of rustic looking with my yellow reds. So maybe my YR2s versus the brighter YR1s or zeros, because I really do like the YR2 series. That just does not have big enough jump for me. I need something. I like this, but it definitely isn't real orangey. It's more of a burnt orange, which I don't mind. And I think maybe for this, for that real fall feel, might be kind of cool. And then, oh, and I have a challenge. Which number was it? I think it's YR82. Ah, yes, Mallow Peach. I'm going to tuck this off the side. Yeah, I'm not thinking. See, I think it goes with those. But it's almost identical to that, right? Let's see. I'm playing off to the side. Sorry, distracted very easily. Sort of in there. So someone online mentioned the fact that YR82 Mellow Peach, not sure why I said mallow, doesn't really go with anything. I don't disagree, but I feel like there's some that it kind of, ooh, that could be a good fit. So I'm playing before I start. Now see, that gets pretty peachy. Those are E9s. The other one I was thinking about though, the E0s go. My guess is this is gonna jump around it too. E00. Oh, see? Look at all these that you could blend it with. So I've got some E9s in here. I've got some E0s in here. And then the other YRs that I looked at were actually the YR zeros, and those are all right in the center. Here is that mellow peach. So I think we have some options, but I might come back to that. Okay, let's go here. And what did I end with? A YR27. feel like I'm a little concerned going like to YR18, although I feel like that goes to, it gets more saturated. We'll think on that. So in my head, the other thing I'm thinking of is if this is too saturated, I could either go kind of with an earth tone if I want to stay within that same range, but I could also go complementary color, which orange sits across from blue. So I could do something like a B. Ooh, I wonder. This is kind of an odd one. The other, that's a B4. B4. This is a B6. I bet that might work. What if we do a little bit? That might work even better. Although the B63 will probably be mellower. I'm going to do a little bit of underpainting. So this is a B63. We'll see if this works. Light hydrangea. I'm going against my rules. I'm not testing. But I'm going to underpaint it, meaning I'm putting it down first. And where I'm putting this is some of the areas that would be the darkest on our little pumpkin face here. So in those creases, so I want this one to stand up and it pulls back and around. And again, this pops out and then tucks back in. So I am putting that shadow to show that that is popping forward of this. It's like a pleats or folds in a dress, the way Anne's drawn this particular one. And I'll have to do a little bit of creative thinking on all the little pieces here, but this will get me kind of just some more depth to this image. Get it a little more three-dimensional versus flat. It's not going to be totally accurate. I don't have a pumpkin sitting in front of me, but I'm just trying to give it some of that form and shape, that roundness. So then my next one is YR27, which is Tuscan Orange. So this is going to start in those areas and go a little past that. And I think this is going to do exactly what I'd like it to do. Yeah, definitely come around that bottom edge with this as well. So I'm still fighting my lighting in this space a little bit. So hopefully you guys are seeing, I'll lighten it up when I edit just a little bit, because I know it'll be a little shadowy. But hopefully we can get it pretty close to accurate color for you. Remember to turn your image often. Get your hand going the direction it wants to go. I've been really lucky this year. I've gotten to sub for the art teacher a couple times, and so I've taken all of my classroom Copic sets in and shared them with the high schoolers and given them some lessons on Copic markers. And that has been crazy fun. I haven't done that in forever. It's always fun teaching a live class, getting those good questions, having those listeners. And these students were awfully good about being listening and asking really smart questions. Some were really interested in the Copic markers, and some have them, some would love to have them, but no, they can't get them right now. Too expensive. That is a hard piece of Copic, isn't it? As adults, we get it. That's the biggest barrier for a lot of people. All right, so I am going to put a little bit coming from this bottom edge as well, because we know it tucks under, it's round, and it's going to be brighter because does not have that underpainted blue on there. Now for me, you can argue you can add the underpainting kind of underneath the floral wreath. I would rather come back and do that on top as a cast shadow. I feel like it's a little more effective that way, so I am holding off on that. I'm going to shift to my YR24, which is Pale Sepia. And some of these little sections, it's going to almost finish off for me. So when I'm working dark to light, I start in that dark area, and depending on how wet or dry my image is, I might have to go all the way back to where it started and then work out from there. And I'm not going for a perfectly smooth blend. That is not my goal today. It's a pumpkin, right? And so for me, a pumpkin is never going to have perfectly smooth, silky skin. It's going to be kind of lumpy and bumpy, and Anne's even drawn it that way for us. She's given us that in and out and lumps and bumps, which is one of my favorite things about this image. I love that it has that shape to it, that more natural, fun shape. I know as kids, we always look for like the perfect pumpkin in the pumpkin patch or at our grocery store, whichever we managed to get to. I know for me, a lot of times as a young adult, I still wanted a car, so we went to the grocery store. But as an adult, I actually prefer the ones that are kind of unique and have some of those fun little ins and outs and oddities to them. So that's one of the things I really like about this image. Now I'm working around this little kind of stitched mouth. I'm not totally sure how I'm going to treat that yet. If it's more of like a surface thing like the flowers, or if it's going to be something that is more of a cutout. I'm thinking to treat it more like a surface piece, just because the eyes and nose are obviously cut out. And I appreciate it's not meant to be realistic, but I'm trying to pick up off of the cues that Anne has given us and use some of that in my coloring. So I think I will probably make that more of an attached piece when I get to that coloring. Hopefully you can see though, as I work over kind of that darker edge, it's softening that ink, or kind of, I always say melting. I appreciate it's not melting, it's re-wetting the ink. It's kind of getting it up and moving again. You're lifting it back off the fibers of the paper and moving it around. That's what that alcohol, when it re-hits it, does to it. So hopefully you're seeing as I'm hitting those darker edges, they are kind of smoothing out, moving around. You can see I'm using a lot of ink. This is a much thinner paper, and I haven't done my little paper spiel for you guys yet. I keep promising it. It will eventually happen. Telling you kind of the different ones I use and why. This is a YR21 cream. And it's just going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and make the white disappear. continuing onward. So I got a phone call. You guys probably heard the first ring or two of the phone. So now my paper is drying or dry, right? So as I come in and hit these next areas, I'm definitely going to have to go up to those seams. So unfortunately, I am going to have to do a little more maneuvering with this. And it looks like and feels like this marker is just about needing a refill, which of course for then this huge area is not gonna be great, but we're gonna make it work instead of stopping again. We'll see if we can at least. We might have to. I might have to. Not you, me. All right, so that's gonna at least get that one. Let's tuck in. And it's interesting, a lot of these you'll see those watermarks on certain papers after the ink dries. So sometimes you don't see it right away where the ink settles and you end up with those kind of stop-start points. Sometimes you won't see that until after the ink dries. So I would encourage you, go ahead and go on in, get it wet. So you don't have, that's a more frustrating issue, because once that watermark is there where you can see where the wet hit the dry and settled and just stopped, once that's there, once you have one of those little hard lines there, it's almost impossible to correct. Almost impossible. You almost have to go over it with like darker colors and just start over. At that point, it's probably better to trash and start fresh. Just start fresh. Okay, so I think this is a good place to pause though. And I might come back. I'm trying to think. No, I probably need to keep going. I'm trying to think of how best to do this for you guys. If I need to break it or if we can kind of keep. And I'm really trying to keep it simple. I'm not trying to do anything extraordinary. This is Y17 or Y17 gold and yellow. Perfect for those lit up pumpkin features, I'm thinking. I could add texture in there or more detail. Trying to think, actually we should use mellow peach. Kind of the flesh of pumpkin though, isn't it almost white? Trying to think, once you scrape it, isn't it quite a bit lighter? We'll do this. This is YR00 powder pink. Easily distracted that I am. So see, what if you take YR00 and mellow peach? I mean, they're almost identical. Look at this. I'm going to be curious how that dries. Those are really, really similar. YR82. I'm not buying that you're definitely not more desaturated. Okay, so So we'll let those sit quietly there. And then, and in fact, this is going to bother me now that I've done that. I'm going to add some B60 over that. Just to kind of tone it down. All right, and then we need to think about the little mouth, the stitching. I might go with something really dark. I'm thinking an earth tone though. We could do like an E29 or 49 or a 77. That'd be kind of cool. It's a little bit cooler earth tone. The E7s have that mauve kind of purpley undertone to them. Just a mention in passing, the YRs and the Ys and the earth tones are all on sale this month at Violetta Inc. Those are all discounted with her coupon code. So it's worth, if you need refills or wanted to add 1 or 2 markers, that would be, this is a good month to do that with those. I should have tested that color first. That's bothering me now. Michelle, you know better. You know better than just to stick it on there. You test it first. I'm just trying to think how that would, to get that to sink in. And maybe I need to think about this differently, because when you look at a pumpkin that's lit up, that kind of pops out at you. Anyways, I'm going to sit with that for a moment, and I need to think about, though, what I'm doing up here. I kind of think it'd be fun to do something really rusty. So what if we used the E04070809 and kind of made it a really fall. Let's see what we've got. Not sure if I need the 8 in there. I think I'm skipping the 8. Yeah, skipping the 8. Thinking 4, 7, 9. All right. We've got 3 main flowers and we've got some leaves. So I think I'm going to start with my E09. This is a marker that comes out of my bag a lot. It's burnt sienna. I just like the color. I like it. It's very brick-esque, which is where you'll see me use it a lot. It will also be a color that I use frequently on auburn hair as one of the deepest colors, with some other darker kind of milk chocolatey dark browns like the E29, E27, this underneath it or with it. E37, E39, some of those that have that real deep brown feel to them, but when we underlay it or use it in conjunction with something like an E09, we get those really deep, rich auburn tones. Even a deep redhead this would be the color, the type of color I would finish with versus trying to finish with a YR or a red. I feel like this takes it to a more natural looking auburn or redhead. So I am just going to some of the center, kind of center the flower out. So I'm just working my way around this one flower. Now you could do, if you want it to have a smoother blend, you are going to want to do kind of maybe half a flower at a time, so you can work through a little bit quicker. I am going to go through and do a looser blend just like I did on my pumpkin. So it's not necessarily going to go smooth. So I tried to flick kind of from the center out, even though some of these are real short little stubby flicks. And now I'm going to go through with my E07. This one is light mahogany. I'm never going to remember all these colors. I laugh because, you know, someone mentions a color by name versus number, and I'm like, which one is that? I had to ask online about the YR82. Now see, I'll remember that one now, that it's mellow peach. But I only know a few. Lipstick red, of course, R29. I know that one. One of the other reasons I like the E09 so much is that if I use it in conjunction with the E04, we have a whole nother kind of range of colors that I use that pairing on lips. So E04 is lipstick neutral, and it's a unique color. It looks like it doesn't fit in this chain, this little grouping, but when I hit the edge of this, it's going to just kind of melt into that color. So it actually is one that blends very easily with its neighbors, both up and down. And so you get this really pretty transition color. Now it's not necessarily a smooth transition in that it's a little bit clunky color-wise, but they definitely blend together. You'll have a smooth transition from one into the next, which is really nice. To me, when I describe the color to people, I would say like a dusty rose. So I use this for brick as well. This would definitely be a brick color to me when I'm doing like a chimney or a house made out of brick. But I would also use it as a lip color. So for darker lips, I would actually use the E09 and the E04. But for a natural looking lighter lip, one that doesn't have lipstick on it, for someone who is fair skinned, I actually think this works really, really well for some of those darker areas on the lip. And do it in conjunction with like an E93. So you have this very kind of soft but natural looking lip color. This one is aptly named. To me, it actually does look like a lip color to me. It has a little bit of blue in it, it feels like. And I know you're looking at that going, blue? I don't see any blue. It's a cooler earth tone for sure. So for me, it works really, really well for that. I am just yapping away at you guys today. I think, however, this is where I'm going to take you. This is where we're going to pause. Because at some point, my battery will die and I have to go cook dinner. And I'm running out of light. So what you're going to miss, and I will post the photo at the end, is I might fiddle with the eyes a little bit more to make myself happy there. And that may be what I do on the inside versus those drop backs. I'll have to think about that. I'm going to color these two flowers the same, this deep kind of brick red. And then I am going to add a few little leaves, and I'm thinking YGs. And I might go all the way to my YG 9s. because I really want it to stay within this color range. And so I might, see, I really like that with that. It suits. So yeah, so my little leaves, and I'm not going to do many of them. I'm going to tuck them in here. See, we can do this part really quick. Here, and we'll have a couple here. Wondering if you can hear the dogs across the street. I apologize if you can. Let's say that those are leaves. And we'll just do that real quick touch. So that was E99 and E95. I'll tell you the name here on both of them in just a second. For those 4 little spots, I will finish the other 2 flowers and include a photo of our finished pumpkin head. But I'm going to do something here too. All right, YG99 is marine green? No. Oh, shoot. I cannot see that. They need to make those bigger. I can't read it. Starts with an M. And then pale olive is YG95. No, marine. Marine green. Sorry. I know you guys are like clenching your jaws when I struggle like that. And then pale olive are the 2 greens I'm working with. And I don't need to include that, but I've had a few people ask, and so that's why I try to throw that out there. Okay. I will put a finished product at the end of the video. You guys have a fabulous day, evening, weekend, wherever you are at. And Corbiere-Scott, she has these little digitals. They're super fun. Head over to her and Corbiere-Scott.com, designs.com. I'll put the link in the comments and it'll be above the screen here. And then check in over at my blog, over on the Facebook page, Instagram to see all the stuff going on with me. You guys have a most happy, colorful day.